Hey everyone! Welcome to Unfiltered and Unapologetic, the space where we heal out loud, bring our culture into the conversation, and remember that softness is our strength. I'm your host, Caitlin Gil-Soto, born and raised in Lawrence, Massachusetts, always traveling between Bani y El Cibao, and proudly Dominicana. Today's episode is called So Tired, the Exhaustion We Inherit. This one is personal because burnout is not just a buzzword. It's an invisible weight so many of us carry. Burnout is deeper than being tired. It's when you're so drained that rest doesn't restore you. When silence feels heavy instead of peaceful. When joy feels out of reach. It's the exhaustion that seeps into your body, your mind, and your spirit. And for us, especially in Dominican culture, burnout often feels normal. We grew up hearing aguanta or endure, sigue pa'lante or keep going, or no te quejes, not to complain. We watched our parents and our grandparents work endless shifts, sacrifice their health, and smile through exhaustion. Many of them may not have called it burnout, but they were so tired. Here's what we're unpacking today: what burnout really is and how to recognize it, how it shows up in our bodies, emotions, and spirit, the cultural and historical roots that make burnout feel like our default, and how we can shift from survival into restoration, reclaiming joy without guilt. Because being so tired is not our destiny. Healing and restoration are. I have the first journal prompt here for you guys. When was the last time I said I'm fine, but deep down I was running on empty? And the affirmation for this question is: naming my exhaustion is not weakness. It is the beginning of my healing. Burnout is one of those terms we hear everywhere. On TikTok, in conversations with coworkers, even in memes. But underneath the buzzword, burnout is serious. It's not just tiredness. It's not just needing one good nap or a weekend off. Burnout is the collapse that happens when you've been in survival mode for too long. It shows up in the body: constant fatigue, tension headaches, muscle pain, digestive problems. It shows up in the mind: irritability, lack of focus, loss of motivation. It shows up in the spirit: numbness, feeling disconnected from God, from joy, from yourself. But the hardest part about burnout is how normal it feels, especially in Dominican culture. Exhaustion is expected. It's glorified. We grew up watching people drag themselves to work, no matter how sick or drained they were. We heard phrases like, el que se cansa pierde, or the one who gets tired loses. Tienes que seguir pa'lante. You have to keep going. La vida es así, aguanta. This is just how life is. You have to endure. The message was clear. Strength means silence. Endurance means love. If you don't push yourself past the breaking point, are you really doing enough? And that's where burnout tricks us, because it feels like the right thing to do, until one day you realize you don't even feel joy anymore. You're just existing. I have another journal prompt here for you guys. What are the subtle ways burnout is already showing up in my body, my emotions, and my spirit? And the affirmation for this question is: I give myself permission to notice when survival has taken too much from me. Burnout is not only individual, it's generational. It has roots in how we were raised and what our families lived through. Think about it. Our parents and grandparents survived things we can't even imagine: dictatorship, poverty, migration, systemic racism. They worked multiple jobs, often in silence, because speaking up didn't feel safe. They were taught endure, don't complain, don't rest, just survive. That survival mode became our inheritance. It's in the way many Dominicans see rest as laziness. It's in the pride around working 2 or 3 jobs as proof of love. It's in the way exhaustion gets mistaken for responsibility. But if we look even deeper, the roots stretch further back. Burnout is connected to colonialism and slavery. Enslaved Africans and exploited laborers were valued only for how much they could produce. That mindset didn't vanish. It shaped how generations were taught to equate worth with work. Then came Trujillo's dictatorship. People learned silence as survival. They learned to carry fear and fatigue without showing it, because to rest or resist was dangerous. And then migration. Dominicans living in New York, Lawrence, Boston, Miami, working endless shifts in factories, bodegas, and hospitals. They sent money back home, often at the cost of their health. This is the soil burnout grows in. It's not just about you being bad at balance. It's about generations of people who were forced to equate survival with self-erasure. But here's the truth. They endured so we wouldn't have to. The gift we can give back to our lineage is not repeating the same cycles. Resting, slowing down, and living with joy is part of healing the history we carry. I have another journal prompt here for you guys. What beliefs about work and sacrifice did I inherit that I now have the power to question and release? And the affirmation for this question is, I honor my ancestors not by repeating their exhaustion, but by choosing peace. Burnout is dangerous because it's sneaky. It doesn't always announce itself with a collapse. Sometimes it creeps in slowly, hiding in the background until suddenly you don't recognize yourself anymore. It shows up in the body, constant tension, migraines, the kind of fatigue that sleep didn't fix. It shows up in your emotions, snapping at loved ones, feeling detached from joy, or simply feeling numb. And it shows up spiritually. A dryness, a sense that you're disconnected from God, from your own purpose, from anything that feels alive. In Dominican households, it's even trickier to see because chaos has always been the norm. There's always noise, bachata blasting, kids playing, pots clanging, novelas on the TV, someone calling you from the other room. And while that noise can feel like life, it also can cover up silence inside. You can be surrounded and still feel unseen. You can be productive every day and still feel empty. That's the quiet truth of burnout. Sometimes we call it being responsible or doing what needs to be done. But really, it's your body whispering, I can't keep carrying this pace. It's your soul saying, I'm exhausted in ways you can't see. And if you ignore it long enough, burnout stops whispering. It starts screaming. It forces you to listen through breakthroughs, illnesses, panic attacks, or that deep resentment that builds up toward the very people you've been sacrificing for. Recognizing burnout is not weakness. It's courage. Because it means admitting something in my life is unsustainable. And I deserve better than just surviving it. Here's the truth. Burnout doesn't just come from doing too much. It comes from believing we have no other choice. Many of us were taught that rest is a luxury, not a right. That slowing down means you're falling behind. That being tired is just part of being alive. But shifting out of burnout requires us to unlearn survival mode and step into restoration. Rest is not laziness. Rest is resistance. Rest is how we reclaim the energy that has been drained from our families for generations. When we rest, we are saying, I will not let exhaustion be my inheritance. In practical terms, that means setting boundaries, saying no when everything in your body says no, even if guilt tries to convince you otherwise. It means tuning into your body, noticing when your shoulders are tight and tense, when your chest feels heavy, when your thoughts won't quiet down. It means creating small rituals that ground you. Prayer in the morning, journaling at night, a walk without your phone, silence in a room where you're not performing for anyone. Culturally, this shift is radical because in Dominican families, we're raised to be siempre disponible or always available for family, for work, for whoever needs us. To say I can't feels like it's selfish. But in truth, boundaries are love. They protect our energy so we can love in a way that's sustainable. And maybe this is the hardest truth. Our parents didn't sacrifice so we could repeat their exhaustion. They did it so we could find freedom. Freedom includes joy. Freedom includes rest. Freedom includes a life where we don't measure our value by how many shifts we work or how much we can endure. Shifting from survival to restoration doesn't mean abandoning our responsibilities. It means holding them with balance, softness, with a commitment to life that is more than just duty. I have a journal prompt here for you guys. Where in my life can I choose rest without guilt, even in a small way today? And the affirmation for this question is, I honor my ancestors not by carrying their exhaustion, but by choosing restoration. Burnout steals joy. It convinces us that life is only about responsibility, duty, and pushing through. But joy is medicine. Joy is what brings us back to ourselves, what recharges us in ways sleep alone never could. For Dominicans, joy has always been part of survival. Think about it. Even in the hardest times, music was playing, people were dancing, neighbors were cracking jokes in the colmado. Joy is how we've always resisted despair. But burnout makes joy feel far away. It whispers, you don't have time to laugh. You don't deserve rest. You can't stop now. And that's why reclaiming joy is not frivolous, it's revolutionary. Reclaiming joy can look small. Laughing without guilt, cooking the foods that remind you of home, dancing in your living room, sitting in silence without rushing to the next obligation. Joy is not just fun, it's fuel. It reminds you that you're alive, not just surviving. And here's the truth. Our ancestors didn't survive so we could inherit only exhaustion. They survived so we could inherit freedom, laughter, softness, abundance. Joy is part of that inheritance. And when we embrace it, we don't just heal ourselves. We heal the generations that came before us and the ones who will come after. I have the last journal prompt here for you guys. What simple joy can I choose this week, even if it feels small? And the affirmation for this question is, joy is my birthright, and I allow myself to embrace it fully. And now we're going to close with a prayer. So put your hand on your chest and take a deep breath. And exhale. God, today I bring you my exhaustion, the kind that runs deeper than my body, the kind that touches my soul. I lay down the weight I was never meant to carry alone. Teach me that rest is holy. Show me that joy is medicine. Guide me to honor my ancestors, not by repeating their struggles, but by living in the freedom they dreamed of for me. Let my boundaries be an act of love. Let my rest be an act of resistance. And let my joy be an act of worship. Amen. Thank you so much for joining me for this powerful reflection. If this episode resonated, please leave a review so more people can find Unfiltered and Unapologetic. Don't forget, you can check out my blank journals on Amazon, created to help you pause, reflect, and heal through writing. Stay connected with me on Instagram at Caitlin La Jefa and follow the podcast page at Unfil and Unapologetic Pod for more reflections and community. And remember, you can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you stream your shows. For those who want to go even deeper, you can support the podcast directly through Buzzsprout. Until next time, protect your peace, honor your rest, and remember, being soul tired is not your destiny. Restoration is. Thank you for healing out loud with me. I'll see you in the next episode.